It is the 18th of the 11th, 2011. And this is today's climate change update. We're going to start off tonight on tatoott1009. Last of 91 whales stranded in Australia and New Zealand dies. Rescuers have been unable to save the last surviving sperm whale on the separate mass strandings in Australia and New Zealand that have seen 91 whales die since the weekend. Very sad indeed. Restless underwater volcano disrupts life on Canary Island. Zeta Madrid steaming magma is bubbling onto the sea surface. The earth shakes and the smell of sulfur floats in the air. For over a month, residents on the Spanish Canary Island, El Hierro, have lived with an active underwater volcano that not only poses a security threat, but also scares off tourists and endangers the inhabitants' livelihoods. They're saying the volcanic eruptions could continue for weeks, Civil Protection Science Representative Carmen Lopez said this week. However, the situation has been deemed safe enough for the 550 evacuated residents from the fishing village La Restinga to return home, though the island was still being hit by earthquakes. Crews seek survivors as southwest storm death toll rises to 6. A death toll from a storm system that spawned several possible tornadoes has slammed the southeast and has risen to at least 6, officials said Thursday, as search crews went out to look for more victims and survivors. Suspected tornadoes were reported Wednesday in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and South Carolina. Severe weather also hit Georgia. Here's a crazy story. Thousands of piranhas invade popular Brazilian tourist beach. Thousands of flesh-eating piranhas have infested a beach popular to tourists in western Brazil and have bitten at least 15 unwary swimmers. And they're saying take the precautions because all these people are used to piranhas down there. And if you get bit, get out of the water before you bleed too much. That's crazy. Guatemala back-to-back earthquakes hit within minutes of each other, a 5.1 and a 5.0 magnitude. And we have another 5.7 magnitude earthquake rattles the coast of Ecuador. They're reporting cracks in the houses and shaking buildings, but no real damage reports in yet on that. Over to geology news quick. Just a quick reminder, the Leonid meteor shower tonight. Tonight is expected to be good for observing the Leonid meteor shower that is peaking this week. After midnight is the best to watch. I think I'm going to go out after that, make this video and try to time-lapse that, but I'm not sure my camera's set up for that kind of thing, so no promises, but I'm going to go try it anyway. RSOE tonight, of course they have the El Hierro report up. Flooding in Thailand. We got a forest fire in the state of New Jersey, Woodland Park. Of course, the extreme weather in Alabama, tornadoes in Mississippi, and they had a report out on the Iceland volcano came out today that last month's numbers. In the month of October, they had over 500 earthquakes. 380 of those earthquakes were within the caldera up underneath the glacier that is Katla, and I believe 7 were above 3.0 in magnitude, but they were saying 10s in the 2.0 range. So very active month for Katla, very active indeed. And finally tonight, let's go ahead and go over to the radiation stuff. Got a nuclear event out of Ohio, Oak Harbor Davis Base Nuclear Power Station. The RSOE is reporting they had a coolant leak, and that they had it under control. This is according to the RSOE, and that they, right at the very last line of the story, it goes on about how they found a hairline crack in the reactor containment wall while it was shut down, and they are leaving it shut down to investigate this hairline crack in the structure. As far as RSOEs on the European iodine-131 exposure clouds going out, Apparently Hungary is blaming some pharmaceutical company, but as some experts are saying that can't be it because there's way too much of it for this light thing going on. And of course, you know, the madness continues. Over to E&E News tonight. Radiation precautions for areas near Seattle, Vancouver, and Portland. Oh, that was the story I put out last night about you might want to wash your shoes. I will provide a link to that specific story. And what they have new tonight is, hold on a second, I backed it up. I shot somebody in Washington a link right before I made this video. So tonight we got new local TV. They believe radioactive water is leaking from the top of the vessel at the North Carolina nuclear power plant I just told you about. Significant because it goes directly through the reactor core. And you remember the story on the RSOE said something about a hairline crack in the containment. So definitely something need to pay attention going on in North Carolina. Kyoto, number of births declined significantly in Fukushima and Tokyo between April and June. ABC calls radiation plume over Europe massive but harmless. IAEA now claims Hungary lab likely source of iodine-131. Extremely unlikely, says director. So I don't know if they're looking for a scapegoat or what's going on here. International NRC emails on March 5th. Are we still looking at a possible total meltdown and big release? From Fukushima, a U.S. regulator was debating whether level 4 or 5 accident ended up level 7, the highest. Time.com, Fukushima dangers may not be as grave as we first feared. Only 10 people survived, had high levels of radiation, says study. Only 10% of Chernobyl release. We have a disturbing photo of an 84-year-old retired teacher pepper sprayed in the Seattle protests. She expressed opposition to nuclear power plants in the paper. They have a video on that and a very horrific photo of an 84-year-old lady with pepper spray all over her face. Evergreen leaves with cesium up to 2,200,000 becquerels per kilogram, 10 times more than the deciduous trees. Be careful during the holidays. Wow. Study March of Japan's northeast likely contaminated, yet included no radiation data before March 19th when explosions spread massive amounts of fallout. Experts on iodine in Europe. Something very unpleasant has happened. Either a serious accident or reactor emergency required venting radioactive substances. And we got a truck with nuclear fuel rods wrecks on Memphis Highway after being rear-ended. No fuel rods fell off the truck, but no words on damage. So that's about all I have for you tonight. Of course, if I missed anything, please leave your comments or attach your videos below. I appreciate all the support I can get. Enjoy while you can, everybody. Good night.
You can watch this footage and realize the police don't care about you. They don't care about you. This is in 2011. They're doing this to children, kids. I wonder if they've ever done this to veterans before. In fact, that's rhetorical because I have footage here from 1932 where the Army comes in with tanks, bayonets, on horses, and gasses the occupation of veterans from the First World War who were protesting the fact that they never got paid. Check it out.
When MacArthur moved his troops to the affected area, he knew exactly what he was going to do. And he adorned himself in his dress uniform along with his major aide, Dwight D. Eisenhower.
The force stepped off at 4:30 p.m. More than 200 cavalrymen spread out across Constitution and Pennsylvania avenues. Behind them came 400 infantrymen, followed up by tanks and armored vehicles.
I was about 7 years old at the time, and the troops were out on Pennsylvania Avenue. I was scared, and my dad kept saying, nothing's going to happen.
The cavalrymen, one of whom is Major Patton, have got their sabers out.
The soldiers donned gas masks and, without warning, began hurling gas grenades at the veterans. The troops advanced, some jabbing with bayonets.
Tear gas was just burning my face. I was trailing behind my dad, and he kept hollering, "Come on, boy, come on, boy."
Marchers were choking from the gas, just like the battlefields in France.
And so they're being forced out of their shacks by smoke bombs and tear gas, hurled by the troops who have been called out by the President of the United States.
Chief Glassford stood by helplessly.
The veterans did not believe the country for which they had fought would ignore the plight into which the Depression had placed them. Many did not believe that United States troops would take the field against them.
By early evening, most of the marchers had been driven across a drawbridge that led to their main camp.
The president does not want MacArthur to cross the bridge, and MacArthur disregards the order. Eisenhower later says that he saw this happen. MacArthur says, "I cannot bother with pieces of paper during a military operation." And so he crosses the bridge.
All through the camp were scenes of panic.
My dad says, "Let's get the hell out of here. The soldiers are going to kill us."
Then troops began to set fire to their wooden shacks. One reporter wrote, "The blaze was so big it lit the whole sky. A nightmare come to life." The president looked out a window of the White House in the direction of the fire, then retired for the night.
And the roaring flames sound the death knell to the fantastic bonus army that ends so disastrously in the shadow of the capital of the United States of America.